Hey everybody, welcome to welcome to another lectionary psalm reflection. It's Wednesday. We're super pumped to be here.
Sam,
And
you got a little. There's something on your. Never mind.
are
Never
you
mind.
serious? Is there something?
No, you're fine. No, it's fine.
You look radiant.
Yeah.
Absolutely radiant.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys are looking at me funny, like there's something wrong, but I don't know.
No, it's great. It's great.
Um, you know, it's important that we have some fun sometimes, and Halloween is coming up on Saturday, and so I thought I would be a church mouse.
That lives in the bell tower.
Yeah.
Yes. Thankfully, when Steph and I went up there, we did not see any mice because that would have freaked me out, especially like big old rats, like a big old rat with like huge, like sharp teeth. Oh, by the way, I also have I have some for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
Cameron's-
gonna stay in my office due to COVID.
Yeah,
Here,
that's
these
my
are actually
excuse.
even bigger.
That's a good excuse, right? We'll just let your ears grow bigger and bigger.
I hear that the virus is now spreading from the tops of people's heads like lice. So
Anyone like to wear these? Rabbit ears.
We all need to come trick or treating at your house this year because you just have way too much fun.
Look at they even
There
bend.
you go.
It's like Bugs Bunny,
Bugs Bunny style. I like it.
They still look like donkey ears to me. So
but they're not.
yeah.
They are rabbit ears. Here. Rabbit ears go up like this. Here we go.
That seems better.
It matches your
notice I
beard.
have-
Actually, like your beard sort of morphs into the ears.
To actually get that in the full screen, I gotta like back up here because
Yeah.
they're so tall. There we go.
It does match pretty well. The coloring.
Actually, I really like the mouse ears are my favorite. All right,
All right.
enough of that. Enough of
How are we
that.
going to recover?
Anyways, I thought it'd be. I mean, it's always fun too to talk about like your favorite trick or treat memories. And I don't know if people watching, I don't know if you if you yourself went trick or treating as a kid, or if you allowed your kids to go trick or treating. I know there's various opinions about that, but I just have pretty happy memories going with my brother, my two brothers, and my sister. We dress up and go around and it was all about the candy. Let me tell you, it was all about the candy, and we would just get pillowcases. Like forget the bags.
Fill them up.
Like we have pillowcases, and we would fill up those pillowcases about halfway full of candy.
Awesome.
And then the best thing was afterwards, you take all your candy and you spread it all on the floor
Mm-hmm.
so that you take an assessment of what you raked in. And then you separate gross candies into a pile, and then you have your prized candies, which was often Reese's peanut butter cups, for sure.
Those are incredible.
Mini like Hershey, mini like Hershey bar, mini like crackle, whatever it's called.
Crackle's legit. That's a good one.
I just have good memories of trick or treating with my siblings,
And Magnum bars, right?
hey, if you
Because
could
they don't melt because there's so much chocolate and caramel that the ice cream in the middle can't even melt. So you can put those in your kids' trick or treat bags this year.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I know you're kind of joking, but like,
Well,
I
I think
it's just
Just
I think
hand
it
your
works.
kids a cooler and be like, "Here you go. There's some minis in there for you. Have a good evening."
spread the word. Sam is giving out Magnum bars for Halloween. His address is listed in the church directory.
That's right. Well, today we are talking about Psalm 34, verses 1 through 10 and 22, which I think, Stefan, is I think that's the actual like lectionary psalm for All Saints Sunday,
Correct.
because there's a whole separate liturgy for All Saints Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a psalm. If you follow the lectionary, this is the All Saints Psalm.
Yes. This year, All Saints Day happens to fall on a Sunday.
Yes.
So normally there's an All Saints lectionary, everything, and then the associated Sunday. But this year, they're one and the same.
Yes. So who wants to read? Who did we say? Okay, Stefan's ready with his Bible.
All
Read,
right.
and then I'm going to say a few introductory thoughts, and then we'll all just kind of chime in. So,
Very good. Psalm 34. I will extol the Lord at all times. His praise will always be on my lips. I will glory in the Lord. Let the afflicted hear and rejoice. Glorify the Lord with me. Let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. This poor man called, and the Lord heard him. He saved him out of all of his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. Fear the Lord, you his holy people, for those who fear him lack nothing. The lions may grow weak and hungry, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. The Lord will rescue his servants. No one who takes refuge in him will be condemned.
awesome. Thanks. So, like we mentioned already, Psalm 34 is an All Saints Sunday psalm. And one of the things I found interesting is another passage designated for All Saints Sunday is that passage in Revelation, where there's this like grand vision of like the multitudes, the nations gathered before the throne. And you get this amazing picture of how one day it will all be, you know, worshiping before the Lamb, worshiping before the throne, a diverse multitude of people. So that's almost like, it's almost like so big and like so epic and so grand. It's like we can imagine it, but we can't fully grasp it. And then contrasted with that like amazing vision here in Psalm 34, you have a personal testimony of God's grace and deliverance. So it's like kind of macro in the Revelation passage, and then you kind of communion of the saints, and then you have kind of a micro here of a personal testimony of someone's experience of Yahweh. So I think that's kind of interesting to just kind of play off those two. Verse 8 is probably one of the most famous lines from this psalm. Taste and see that the Lord is good. It's also a beatitude. You think of the Beatitudes being in the book of Matthew when Jesus is doing the Sermon on the Mount, but here we have happy is the one who takes refuge in him. It's a little beatitude there. And then today I chose this phrase, radiant faces, because on All Saints Sunday, we always celebrate, well, not celebrate, but we remember, and there's a bit of a celebration of the Lord's grace and goodness of everyone who passed away this past year. And I think we have 13 folks who are associated with Alger Park Church who passed away this past year. And when I think about them, I think of them with radiant faces. I think of them standing before the throne. I think of them worshiping God right now in his very presence, and their faces are just glowing with goodness, with grace, with truth. And it's an image or a picture for all of us about how it will be someday, that we'll all have these radiant faces standing before the throne. And so this great cloud of witnesses cheers us on and spurs us on as we think about All Saints Sunday. So those are just a couple thoughts I had. What do you guys think about Psalm 34?
I have a question for you, Sam. What do you think makes their faces radiant, the saints?
I think they're reflecting the glory.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, the moon has no light of its own. It simply reflects the sun.
Yeah.
And so it's the same way with us. Like, we just reflect God's goodness. So, you know, the blessing that we often say, the Lord bless you and keep you, the Lord make his face shine upon you. So the follow-up piece to that is when God shines his face on us, our faces shine. His goodness and grace and glory. And And that's not something we generate on our own. We're just reflections of his love.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. That's great. So I kind of like the historical context of this psalm. It's David wrote it when he pretended to be insane before Abimelech, who drove him away. So Abimelech was probably not a. I believe it was Achan was the name of the king, but Abimelech is a title of a Philistine king. So David was before Achan, and David was trapped, and he was trying to get to a place where he would be safe, and he fell into the wrong spot, and so he just pretended to be insane and like started to drool and to make no sense. And then Achan was like, you know what, forget this guy, he's just a foolish old man. So David walked away, and then he's hiding in a cave, and he had just gotten away with like the craziest thing ever by the skin of his teeth. And he's like, magnify the Lord with me. Like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe that this just happened. So I kind of like to read this as like the celebration of a guy who can't believe what just happened.
Mm.
And it's almost like it's kind of guttural, it's visceral. There's almost like a comedy to it. And it's just and I like that verse 8, the taste and see. It's so experiential. I feel like this is a really experiential psalm that like we can really embody. Not that I'm going to do a dance or anything, but I love to imagine David kind of limping into that cave, still acting like he's insane, and then like he's flipping a switch, going, "Oh my goodness, that worked!" And then bursting into this psalm. I think that's kind of cool.
Very cool. Are you guys familiar with this book called Stand Out of Our Light? It's a
No.
book by James Williams, and it's all about sort of the attention economy and the internet sort of robbing our attention constantly. And it goes through the story of Diogenes, who I guess was sort of an ancient, I don't know if he was Greek or something, philosopher that was way before Francis of Assisi. But what Diogenes is known for is that he was like this crazy guy walking around the streets that was sort of like living, making sort of a virtue out of poverty, living homeless, sleeping wherever he wanted to, eating whatever he wanted to, naked. I guess there's a story of like him walking around with a lantern throughout the city, like looking for one honest man. Just being like, where are you? Anyway, what's interesting is that he was like renowned, and Alexander the Great was like dying to meet this guy. And finally, they had a meeting, and Diogenes was like there just lying and basking with minimal clothes on, I guess, in the sun. And Alexander the Great shows up with all of his horses and everybody, and he's just dying to meet this guy. And he's like, I will give you anything. Like, I just, what do you want? You can have sort of anything in the kingdom. And Diogenes just is looking up at him with the sun behind him, and he just says, stand out of my light. It's like this total, like, insane guy. And so when I read this verse, like at that sort of like, those who look to him are radiant, their faces are never covered with shame. He's like this shameless guy, and this dude is just like standing in front of this radiant sun that he just wants to look at so he could get a suntan or whatever. And I just feel like that's just such a wonderful metaphor for this psalm, I guess, including the bit about it sort of being insane, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I feel like you've mentioned him before, and maybe even in a psalm reflection.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't. I think maybe I mentioned the book before because we have a friend who just did a big sort of musical project based around the idea of the internet taking our attention away from our families and all of that, being totally distracted all the time. But yeah, maybe just in a conversation.
I always love how you find these stories, Cameron.
Oh yeah, cool.
I love to. You often quote Tolstoy.
Yeah.
So you tell us like funny stories of.
Which I
Well,
have my copy of War and Peace coming to my house today to get me through the winter. I'm super excited because I've read so much of his nonfiction and I'm ready to to jump in. So that's
interesting.
gonna be the
He's like one of
progress.
your heroes. He's one of your.
I wouldn't go that far. He's a dangerous man, but I tend to like danger. So
You could have gone with David on his mission to Abimelech.
there you go.
I think if we could maybe end on a note here. So the lectionary psalm, it says 1 through 10, and then it throws in verse 22.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting, but I think what the lectionary people are trying to do is trying to say, hey, 22 is kind of a summary of the whole psalm, and it kind of wraps up everything. And it says this: for the Lord will rescue his servants. No one who takes refuge in him will be condemned. And so when you think about All Saints Sunday, it's like God rescues us from death, just like David was rescued from the presence of that king. He escaped death, and then he finds himself in this place of goodness. In the same way, on All Saints Sunday, we remember that not even death can separate us from God's love, and that God will rescue his people. And one day we'll all stand together, the great cloud of witnesses around the throne, reflecting God's glory. And it's just it's an amazing picture if we can hold on to it. And the most amazing part is we are separated from the people who passed away this past year in body. They're no longer with us physically, but in Christ, we are still connected to them.
Mm.
And they are not gone. They're not forgotten. They are alive forever in him. And right now they worship him around the throne. So I think it's important to remember that. I'm going to say this on Sunday, but you're going to get a little preview. Who is that? The baptismal waters that mark us. It's like it's like you can't see it, but it's like there's invisible lines that extend through time. So it's like the waters, like, you know, they shoot through the past and they go through the future. And it's like that, those baptismal waters, they connect the whole body of Christ, even the ones that have passed away. They connect us all. And it's really about being connected to Jesus, you know, the Alpha, the Omega, the one who never dies, the one who lives forever. So in him, we live forever.
Right on, man.
So Cameron, talk a little bit about Psalm 34 musically. So there's a lot in here. So what did you do?
So I actually found a contemporary version. This is the Shane. You guys did that for one of the weeks that I was gone. I don't know. I mean, I obviously know some of their music, and it's actually, it sort of draws from the Taste and See, and it's got a sort of a little bit of a bluesy thing. So I did a little Johnny Cash thing with it. You know, if I had to be anybody for Halloween, there you go. Um, but I also find with some contemporary music, I always find a line or two that I sort of struggle with, and that one is, just as a disclaimer for myself, is verse 3, which it talks about. And the Lord is good. Oh, blessed is he who hides in him. Oh, fear the Lord. Oh, all you saints. He'll give you everything. And while it's sort of written about he'll, sort of extinguish your fear, and, throughout the psalm, there's just something about the he'll give you everything, which somehow almost made me feel like it was sort of taking it out of the essence of the psalm and putting it into almost like this sort of health and wealth phraseology. And so but I love the melody, and it does have this sort of magnify the Lord. I love verse 2, which starts out with, this poor man cried and the Lord heard me. The idea that we're the poor men crying. He heard me instead of, and the Lord heard him. So yeah, it's cool. So it's what I found.
Very cool. So Shane and Shane.
Yeah, and I like I said, this is the first Shane and Shane song I've ever sung.
Did they also do like a Johnny Cash kind of feel to their song, or did you take the song and then add?
I just sang it in an octave I could sing it in, which ended up sounding like Johnny Cash, because he's like a shoot for the stars tenor. So if Stefan was singing it, he'd do it in the Shane and Shane octave, because he was saying tenor in high school. But I'm just fake tenor. So I put it down low so then I could pop up for the the verse and I could hit the notes.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks everyone for joining us. All Saints Sunday, this coming Sunday, Psalm 34. And we'll be back next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I sought the Lord, and He answered me, and delivered me from every fear. Those who look on Him are radiant, they'll never be ashamed, they'll never be ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard me and saved me from my enemies. The Son of God surrounds His saints. He will deliver them. He will deliver them. Magnify the Lord with me. Come exalt His name forever. Glorify the Lord with me. Come exalt His name forever. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Oh, blessed is He who hides in Him. Oh, fear the Lord. Oh, all you saints, He'll give you everything. He'll give you everything. Magnify the Lord with me. Come exalt His name together. Glorify the Lord with me. Come exalt His name forever. Let us bless the Lord every day and night. Never-ending praise. May our incense rise. Let us bless the Lord every day and night. Never-ending praise. May our incense rise. Magnify the Lord with me. Come exalt His name together. Glorify the Lord with me. Come exalt His name